So we're going to talk now about more specifically about the various behaviors that show up in workplace environments. And what I have here for you today is what I'll call a baker's dozen. If you know what a baker's dozen is not 12, it's 13. So these are 13 what I'll call types that show up. And I'll do my best to get to all of them. I have notes here so that you will have them for your reference. And again, feel free to contact me after this webinar if you have questions about one or more in particular. Okay, so I like to start with the type called the gossip. And there are few environments where the gossip isn't prevailing. So when you've got gossip, you've got someone who's talking about others. They're spreading rumors, and a rumor is something that may or may not be true. So when someone is gossiping, they are in the market for looking at news about other people, and it might be about that person's professional behavior. It might be about that person's personal behavior or something about them personally that they're not necessarily talking about or have shared with one or two people. So what the gossip does is they take it around to other people and they talk about things that would ordinarily be considered confidential. And when they do it, they are doing it because they want to find out what's true. They want to be on the company grapevine. They want to find out about things before they happen. And so the gossip basically loves drama, and they're coming from a place of insecurity. So when the gossip gossips, they're doing that to make themselves look good. That's the essence of what the drama, what the gossip person does. And so the drama is a way of people going, oh, really? And it elevates the level of emotion in the environment. It elevates the level of curiosity and rumor and all of that. And it can have a really bad effect in an organization. I call gossip murder by mouth. It's a way that people's reputations actually get destroyed. It's a horrible, horrible thing. And it may look like it's really harmless, but it isn't. It's really quite difficult. And gossip can be started about a company. It can be started about an individual. So know that it is it's a misguided attempt at connecting with other people. So the gossip really wants closeness and greater intimacy, but they don't know how to make that come about, so they will talk about other people. So I know someone who, in an organization that I work with, who is a gossip, and this person would deny it. They would say, well, I don't give the name out of the people that I'm talking about, and they would talk about it in terms of they, but it's still really, really awful. And it still creates a way that this person wants to make themselves look good, that they don't do any of the things that this person is doing. So underneath it all is insecurity. So how do you handle the gossip, the first of our difficult types? First of all, you want to tell them that you don't want to gossip, that you're not going to participate. Really, it takes two to gossip. And so if you say you don't want to gossip, or you don't that this feels like gossip to you and you don't want to participate, that's a way of stopping it, because this person deep down really knows that they're gossiping and that it's really not a good thing to do. You want to stay out of gossipy conversations and not, above all, this is really important, don't share anything personal about your life with a person who's a gossip. You will be sorry, I guarantee you. You can trust that if they're gossiping about other people or the organization, they will gossip about you. So your willingness to participate in gossipy conversations makes you a gossip as well. So don't participate in that behavior. Recognize that what they're doing is theirs, not yours. Do not take anything that they say personally, because it's not your thing. It's their issue, not yours. You don't try, and this is true with all of the types, any and all of the types we're going to be talking about today. Don't try to control their behavior. Don't try to change their behavior. You want to really focus on your own behavior, and if anything, you want to be a role model, because when you're a role model, people will not point to you and say, well, so-and-so is doing it, so it must be okay. Okay, number 2. The second difficult type here is the blamer. So what does the blamer do? The blamer is a form of victim. The blamer doesn't want to take any form of responsibility for what is going on, even if it's their fault. So this person will not admit if they've done anything wrong. They won't apologize. If anything, they'll come up with reasons and rationales and excuses and lies, outright lies, about why it's not their fault. So they will not own. They will not take accountability for any sort of decision they've made or performance if it's not a great decision or if it's poor performance. And again, they may stretch the truth, otherwise known as lying, to make themselves look good, to make themselves look right. So underneath this is about avoiding responsibility. It's about looking good. So they will not take responsibility. So good luck getting them to try. How do you work with the blamer? Well, you want to deal with them factually, and you will probably need to keep repeating things with them. So you keep redirecting them to things that are verifiable. If you've made a mistake, take accountability for your own mistakes. The blamer will want to guilt trip you. They will want to make you feel like it's your responsibility, as in you should have done something different. You should have done this thing or that thing, which would have made things right. Don't let that happen. Keep going back to the verifiable, factual, concrete things, the facts. Don't get into any form of opinion or emotion with them, because that won't stand you in good stead. As with all of these types, you want to maintain very clear, very strong, very firm boundaries. And this is a way that you create limit setting, you create a form of safety with them. Again, many of these types, the people who are doing these behaviors, it's hard to get them to see what they're contributing and what they're doing. It's hard for them to see how they're accountable. So this is something you're going to keep chipping away at. And if it becomes really difficult, it may become a situation where you eventually may need to let that person go. But you want to be taking notes and collecting evidence if, in fact, this is a repetitive pattern or behavior, if it's doing destruction in the workplace. And it is the kind of thing you talk about when this person comes to you and wants more money or a promotion. You want to have evidence on this as best that you can. And again, not emotional evidence, but verifiable evidence. The third type of this baker's dozen is what might be called the flyer. So the flyer, we call them the flyer because guess what? They fly off the handle. This person is very emotional. They're very reactive. They fly off the handle at just a moment's notice. It takes a feather, to trigger them, because they're living in this state of intense drama, and they're you might think of them as a drama king or queen. They love the drama. That makes them feel alive. It's like electricity conducting itself to them. They want attention. They may exaggerate. Again, they may stretch the truth or lie. They will do anything they can to get their emotional needs met. They may show up as very flamboyant. So know that the flyer people may like the flyer. They may show up as entertaining. They can be funny. They can be energetic until someone calls them on their stuff or until their needs don't get met. And then suddenly you will see them pop into anger. You'll see them pop into even higher drama. So the flyer lives in such a state of emotion that you may find that they're not really doing their job. They might not do their job well. They might be unreliable. They may not be accountable. And they may make decisions that are entirely based on emotion. So the flyer really lives in the state of emotion. And so you need to be very factual with them. So when you're working with the flyer dearly needs praise. They live in this state of low self-esteem, insecurity. You want to search out the things that they bring that have value, and you want to praise them for those. The POR method is my method that I've developed that I call the POR sandwich. And the POR sandwich stands for praise, opportunity, and repeat. So when you use praise, you don't just use praise in the usual way. You do what I call prize someone. And when you prize them, you're praising them for the specific thing that they're doing right. It's not just you're wearing a nice you're wearing a nice dress, or that's a great shirt. It's you have wonderful taste in clothing and you always look very professional. That would be an example of prizing. So it's not just this generic form of praise, it's very specific to their behavior and it reflects on their judgment. The opportunity part is you talk about the opportunity for improvement, what they could be doing differently, and the repeat of the pour method is that you repeat the form of praise that you used earlier on with different wording, so that you really you're giving them opportunity in a sandwich, so that they can hear the praise and also hear the opportunity. If you leave them at the end with something critical or judgmental, that's what they walk away with, and that doesn't serve them or you. If they're having swings in their behavior, if they're having swings in their mood, you want to let them know this is affecting me in the following ways. And they need to know the impact because they're not aware of the impact on others. They're so in their own orbit, they're so self-absorbed that the flyer doesn't realize the impact. I work with someone who's a flyer, and every day that I ask this person how are you doing, their mood swings and behavior is greatly affected by their sleep and some things going on in their brain. And so they are a mood ring. Every day they're a different mood. And I think they're probably bipolar. I've worked with them enough now for them to believe that as well. And there are many ways of working with this, and some of them are physical, and some of them are emotional, and some of them are mental. And there are medications that people can take for these things. These are things that might be happening in their brain neurologically. People do get SPECT scans for these things. So there are many things people can do to deal with the emotional swings. You want to stay calm, and you want to keep trying to calm them down if that can happen. You want to wait till they're away from the swing and they're in a more neutral mode. If you're trying to calm them down while they're in the middle of the swing, while they're busy emoting, that won't work. It will only get them more incensed. So again, you may or may not be able to change who they are, their personality, their behaviors, but you do want to, in the workplace, protect and take care of your own interests and the work and the interests of your staff and the people who report to you if you have a management position. If you don't have a management position, you want to take care of your job and your responsibilities because people like this may be critical and judgmental of you, and you want to really hold your turf and hold your own in a way that's neutral and not engaged in their issue. The control freak. The control freak is extraordinarily common in organizations. Every organization, I think, has control freaks. Control freaks often get promoted to management roles because they're so controlling. They want to do everything, and so senior management will sometimes say, "Oh, the control freak gets things done," or they manage the details, and we know the job gets done with them and it gets done on time. However, the control freak is never fun to work with. Why? The control freak is very much of a nitpick. They nitpick people and things. They're critical of others who don't do things their way. The control freak is insistent that they want you to do things their way, that's the right way. The control freak sometimes has OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, sometimes not, just depends, but they have to keep checking and rechecking things. That's part of controlling. They want to control the outcome of everything and everyone around them, and they may not do that in an appropriate way. They may try to control things that aren't part of their responsibility, but they will do it anyway because a control freak does not have appropriate or adequate boundaries. So the control freak often has impossibly high expectations of themselves and of other people. So they get a lot done and they do exceed expectations, but they're no fun to be around and they're difficult and they're demanding. If you're working with someone like that, you may be keeping crazy hours in order to please them. If you're a pleaser, and we'll get into pleasers, control freaks often attract pleasers, people who want approval, and the control freak says jump and the pleaser says how high. So again, they may be valued for their high attention to detail, but it is no fun working for them. It is no fun being around them. So as I'm going through these types, if you have questions, feel free to enter them in the Q&A box. That's what it's there for. Okay, so control freak, praise their attention to detail, praise their contributions because they do make contributions and they are very detailed oriented, and be very specific with them because underneath the controlling, the reason they're so controlling is they have high anxiety about not getting the job done or not getting the job done well. They have their own pleaser going. So if you're very specific and very concrete with them, that will feel reassuring to them. They will feel like they're doing okay, and they need to know they're doing okay. You want to let go of control yourself when it's not required and it won't impact your own performance. So I find when I'm working, when I'm working with controllers, that if they need control over something that isn't such a big deal to me, I let them have that control because it matters to them. It doesn't matter to me, and it won't impact my own performance. You want to make sure that you don't take it personally when they're in high control mode, and that's when you're most likely to internalize it, most likely to be critical of it. So again, it is not about you. It's very much about them.